lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and with me today, my awesome co-host Manny, and we are going to be going through Fist of the North Star, Volume 1, story by Buronson, art by Tetsuo Hara. Classic manga, finally back in print. We were gonna do one of our regular episodes where we just sit and talk about the book, but this book's too amazing to not flip through and show off the art.
Dude, right from the beginning, that opening
Yeah.
page, you know?
Yeah, dude, and I think like this probably wasn't said on camera. I mean, even because you and I talk, like I feel like it's almost every day, kind of.
Yeah,
But like I know we've
yeah.
been talking about doing manga on the channel because it's something I've wanted to do for a very long time. And and you threw this up on our list of stuff we wanted to talk about. So I'm super stoked to finally go through this. A good book to kick off the manga with, you know what I mean?
I had been wanting Fist of the North Star to get published again for ages. Like for years now, every now and then I would try and like look it up online and see how much volumes we're going for. And like it was so expensive for a while to get those old editions.
Oh, I know. I mean, hopefully they're going to continue to do that. I mean, with manga somewhat blowing up even more so in the US of over the past few years, like I mean, I think you and I talked about that. It's in Target. You know, like
Yeah,
if you're in
yeah,
the US and you know what Target is, like that's crazy that they have a manga section now. They don't even
yeah.
have American comics there, you know what
No,
I mean? Which is nuts.
Walmart's got them too.
Yeah, so it's pretty dope. I'll just read the back, just quick little
Yeah.
fucking synopsis of it. In a post-apocalyptic world, humanity has risen from the ashes of all-out nuclear war to a nightmare of endless suffering. It is a time of chaos. Warlords and gangs of savage marauders rule the broken ruins of civilization, terrorizing and enslaving the survivors. Life has become a brutal struggle for existence, and death the only release. One day, a wanderer appears out of the wasteland to bring justice to the guilty and hope to the people. A warrior named Ken, a man who bears 7 scars upon his chest and holds a secret of a mysterious martial art known as Hokoto Shinken, the Divine Fist of the North Star. Dope. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that, if that doesn't make you want to read, and I just got to talk about this too before we get into it. The production and the design of the book is amazing.
It really is, man. I mean,
The blood splatter, like you know what I mean, and the panels on the back. I fucking love the way they designed this book.
if you notice, if you turn to the cover, if you look at Fist of the North Star, you can see like the star pattern, like the same thing that's on Ken's chest, like kind of embossed on the
This is
on the
the first
words.
I've noticed that. That's dope.
Honestly, me too. To tell you the truth, now that I'm looking at it closely, I just noticed it, and
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
like
bro, that's dope. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's like
Like,
going up there.
yeah, yeah, you can feel it. And I love this. It's slightly bigger than your regular manga that gets published in paperback. And dude, at $20, you really can't beat it, man. Like it's really affordable, great feeling and looking. Like it's grade A, because like you said, grade A design and packaging through and through, man. Like they really nailed it. Like they're treating this manga with the kind of respect that it deserves.
Oh, totally agree, dude. And like you said, right in the beginning, first of all, I love how they always open, like manga always has these like full color pages
I
to
love
open up
that
a
too,
book.
man.
Like the coloring on here is insane.
It really is, man. Like that. I love that like kind of purple hue that like the atom bomb explosion has,
Yeah.
and like just the way the sky looks, like it's very striking, and it immediately grabs you. Like
And this originally came out in what, the 80s? Or
yeah, yeah, man. I mean, as a kid growing up, Fist of the North Star was always kind of present in popular culture, like in some respect. I mean, fuck, there was a live action movie done at one point in the late '80s, or early '90s. I'm not sure. You can find it on YouTube. It's really bad, but
I'm sure
it's
it is.
kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of worth a watch, honestly, man. It's got a bunch of B movie actors that you'll probably recognize. I watched it not too long ago as I was cleaning and had it on in the background because I found it on YouTube and I was like, what the fuck? But I mean, obviously, if they went ahead and made a live action movie like that, like it did have some kind of an impact. And I
Mhm.
think there was also a Sega Genesis video game for it.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I mean, I like
Kind of like
look,
an old school like Double Dragon type like brawler game, you know?
yeah, like I was never like I think I've said this, like I haven't really started reading manga until maybe 2019. Like I'm sure like Free Comic Book Day, they had like manga comics like for that and stuff, and I probably glanced at it, but I never read manga. So like I've watched anime, but
Yeah.
manga, I've never done it until my buddy like got me into it, and I still haven't like there's still a lot. I mean, obviously there is a lot that comes out, but there's a lot of stuff that's on my list of wanting to check out. And this was something that I had heard about like going back to when I was younger. So this was always like that title, Fist of the North Star, was always something embedded in my head, but I could never
Yeah.
find it. So like
Yeah.
when I found out they were collecting it again in hardcovers, like I got to get in on this, and I mean, the design of it, the post-apocalyptic world, like obviously it looked 1990X, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I always loved that about manga. Like they always did that a lot, like kind of like X out the date to sort of like give it a bit more of longevity. Obviously we're way past that date now, but
Yeah.
I still like that they don't change that or keep it going. It's great, man. It's great. I mean, it's kind of a trope of manga that I love that has been ever present and is still there.
Yeah. Look at this double page right here.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Like the lightning in the background, it's just like what a great way to like sort of give you a visual introduction to the character. You've got like the ruined buildings, you got like that lightning in the background, and he's like the sort of angle that he's at, and he's standing super tall. Like you immediately feel like the sort of power that this character is gonna have.
Then you get like it gives you everything, dude. Like within the first few pages, you see the fucking Earth is all destroyed. Obviously, the Earth is, nuclear war, right? You got the Mad Max looking type characters going on down here.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. I mean, Fist of the North Star in general is very influenced by Mad Max.
For sure. The Zed, right? That's what they're called.
Yeah, the Zed, with their
Yeah.
matching tattoos, like sort of
Yeah.
like punked out like mohawks and like the six. I love the 666 on his head. Like
And I just, dude, I don't know. I love these like biker gang type fucking like savage
same.
people type characters. Like I love this stuff, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It's like this even has like influence from like the Warriors, like that great movie. Like it's pulling from a lot of like a lot of film. I see a lot of like film influence on Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, I'll get into it too, like further in. But like when you like meet Ken, like look at this guy, dude. Get the power in there.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say like I love one of the things I love about Fist of the North Star is sort of like the way like Tetsuo Hara draws like anatomy. Like it's very exaggerated. Like I mean, what's the rule? Like a body's supposed to be like 7 heads tall or something like that. But he totally like fucking throws all that shit out the window when
Oh,
he's drawing his characters.
oh
But
yeah.
like it not only does it work, it makes the story better. Like I mean, you're drawing, and one thing I love about this manga is that it embraces all that kind of exaggeration, but the effect is not that it's silly. It just it gives it more power. I love one thing I love is I love how everyone is like everything in this it's in manga in general, but like in Fist of the North Star, everything is so heightened. Like everybody's screaming their dialogue for the most part, or like growling it. Like it's very intense from the get go, and like and it creates this atmosphere that gives it a very unique feeling, man. Like it's revved up from the beginning and it honestly doesn't slow down. Yeah, dude, I love that shit. The fucking brains coming out of the
Dude,
back.
how gruesome this book gets throughout. But I love the way we get Ken coming in, dude. It's
Dude, I
actually
mean
like,
that shit is straight out of like the good, the bad, and the ugly, or like
dude,
all these spaghetti westerns.
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say the man with no name. This is exactly what it reminds me of.
I mean, he's got the pun. You can almost feel like the wind. Well, he's got the lettering like the like fim. So you've got like the flutter of the poncho he's wearing. Like the sun behind him. Like dude, that's straight out of a western.
The sound effects, like I could hear them in my head. Like there's obviously like you can hear certain sound effects, like they're trying to invoke that, right? But I don't always hear that when I'm reading comics. But for some reason, because I was reading it this morning, I could hear all of it, and I could imagine. I was like hearing the sounds in my head, like very, very distinctly, because like they really do, like they're not just like typical like whatever sounds, like they really do capture
No,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
type of sound of what is happening, you know?
And the lettering is so great because like the style of the letters fits the sort of feeling of the sound. So like if it's gonna be like a harsh sound, you know, he's got like these jagged letters, you know, like a little bit thinner.
Uh,
Like there's all sorts of fonts being used very well in this throughout the entire book.
yeah.
For instance,
Yeah.
like I love like that swing in the panel with
Oh,
like the
right,
sort of
right.
like dual shade coloring in it. You know, you've got
Yeah.
like the one at the bottom that says "katang," you know, and like it's like almost like if it was painted with like a paintbrush. Like
Yeah, I like this. I mean, look, he gets captured, he's in jail, you know, like this is how we're introduced to like the hero, basically the hero of the book, the main character.
yeah,
We have like
Kenshiro.
and we have like, you know, this little girl, we don't know much about her. She doesn't talk. But she becomes a factor through, you know, like kind of here, but then we don't get to see her again until like towards the end of this first book.
Yeah, which
But
again, that's a trope that is like you know referencing like even Mad Max because you know like I forget if it was in the first one or the second one like he meets like the feral kid you know who becomes sort of like a sidekick and you know like there's obviously there's like a lone wolf and cub element to it like it's something that you find in this genre that I love seeing like injected into this.
yeah, I love this. You know, you don't really get the vibe of really like what he's capable of in the first few pages, you know? And
Yeah,
then
because he's so sweet with this kid, you know, like
right, he does something so that uses a little bit of his, you know, his powers to kind of so she can talk again. Because she's mute as of when we
yeah,
first meet her, right? And then he comes out because like the town's being attacked by the
by
Zed, you
the Z,
know,
yeah.
and then like he rips that shirt off, dude, and you see the fucking marks on his chest.
Yeah, dude, that shit is awesome. And it's like what you know, once you get into the story and you find out what they are, like it makes
Yeah,
it even more gruesome, you
yeah,
know?
because like you look at it and you're like, if I'm gonna kind of spoil it, but like you think they're it could be bullets, right? Like that's kind
Yeah,
of what I first thought. But then when you find out what it was, it's way crazier than him just getting shot, you know? I
yeah.
love this. I love this too with the fucking biker gang.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's an amazing shot, and like you know, like just look at the detail on some of these guys, bro. They're straight out of like they're straight out of Mad Max or like that fucking classic WCW wrestling tag team, the Road Warriors too. You know,
You know what
like
it reminds me of? It reminds me of the you remember Weird Science?
of course, yeah.
Okay,
Oh yes,
do you
dude,
remember
the
that?
biker gang that shows up at the end of
Yeah.
at the party. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally, dude.
that's who I was thinking about when I was reading it. Like that's the first thing that came to mind. Mad Max,
For
obviously
sure.
on surface, but like when I really think about it, I was like thinking of Weird Science.
Yeah, these guys are cool looking, man.
And I
And
love
then of
this
course,
when he gets the keys, but he doesn't even use the keys. He could easily just open the fucking door and he
yeah.
rips the bars off.
And like I'm glad you mentioned that because like earlier on, like when he's talking to the other like younger than him but older than the kid that's giving him water and shit. He mentions like you know he doesn't want them to escape because they'll probably punish this little girl for them escaping because you know she was given the job to watch over them. So like it shows you like how kind-hearted Ken is that like he's just sitting there knowing that he could have broken out at any time,
Yeah.
but he didn't want to do that to that little girl and like make her like you know a subject of some kind of punishment on his behalf. You know, like
Mhm.
it shows you like already like he's got all these qualities that are being introduced like very
He's
cleverly.
multi-layered, dude. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
definitely not just like a brawler. Like there's a lot of depth to the character, and like it's what makes me excited to kind of go forward with the series and see kind of like how the story progresses with him,
dude,
you know?
I love that page up there like with all the dead bodies and like and then like like the leader of the Z. Like, look how huge he looks. Like he's holding this fucking kid in his hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's like a giant, man. You know, and like I
I
mean,
know,
who
but
knows?
then like he's not depicted that way, but then even like moving forward, you do see him like look, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
continue to see it, but then like when he takes also it comes up later, but like Ken's standing in front of him and he looks still big. So it's not like he was only making him big in that scene. Like at first I'm like, oh, is he just doing it in this panel? But
No,
no, this
yeah.
dude's a giant.
And I like how there's no really explanation. I mean, like, it could be the radiation has made people like, like grow bigger or like, it's probably part of that. Part of it is stylistic. Like
Yeah.
it's a very stylized manga. And also like I pointed out this before we started recording, but the level of detail in Fist of the North Star is amazing. I believe it came out weekly in like a Shonen Jump like book. Perhaps it was even originally in Shonen Jump. That part I'm not very familiar with.
Mhm.
But manga is one of these things where like it's hard for manga artists to get a lot of detail. That's why they have assistants because their deadlines are fucking insane. Like they have to produce a lot of work in a short amount of time. And whether or not this was done this way, I'm not sure. Probably to some level, but I mean, dude, the level of details on this is like a fucking outlaw comic from the '80s. Like there's dual shade, dual tone in here. Like all sorts of other shading and background techniques. It's beautiful looking. It does not feel rushed at all.
Oh no, not at all. I
I love
mean,
that image, that
was
splash
it
page of
this one?
yeah,
Yeah, I like when he cracks his knuckles. That's something that really.
dude. Yeah, I can hear, like you said earlier, I can hear like the cracking of the knuckles in my head. Dude, it's just like you know. Yeah, I love how this
Look at
gang
this right
only
here.
screams at each other. No, dude, that shit is awesome.
Look at this right here too, dude. Because like his whole thing too is like he touches or
Like pressure points, I guess.
yeah, and
Like
then late and then it doesn't even like hit them right away.
no,
You
man. I
get
mean,
like their brains
there's characters
exploding out,
later that like
the eyes
I don't
popping out.
I forget when the character's introduced, but there's one that's like walking around with like leather straps on his head, like holding his head from exploding because Ken like did his pressure point touch on him like a way long time ago, and he's like holding his body together with leather straps and shit.
I love this, dude. It's nuts, dude. It's fucking nuts. The speed he has, you know?
Oh yeah, dude. Speed has always been something I love about manga, like the way that they're able to like um, capture and like express speed. And like this whole page in general, it's like to me, like I read this page, the one on the left, and it's like that happens in seconds. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if it was a movie, it'd be like over in seconds, and then he's just fucking fuck these guys in like a couple of seconds. And there's the image where the guy like I love the. I was gonna say there's a guy looming over him, and like it literally says "loom." Like
Yeah, yeah. Dude, look at oh my god, dude. His face
dude, yeah, the
literally
guy.
ripping in half, you know?
And there's the like the kind of dual shade pattern and like the spack lettering. Like I love that, man. Probably one of the best lettering I've seen in like comics. Period is present in Fist of the North Star. Like I'm
Oh, I
starting to notice
totally
it.
agree, yeah. And then Ken takes off and goes on his journey. I love this too, even like just the red, the black and white.
The chapter breaks, yeah,
Yeah.
and like the paper quality on this is excellent.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I love these two pages, man, with like the red that you just mentioned. I love these two pages. Like it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I love the black and white, but I wouldn't mind one like this. And I also
Yep,
wouldn't mind it in that painted like coloring that we saw that opened the book
at the
up, you know.
beginning, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, this is basically like he just continues to go through on foot, you know, just like this is how he's traveling, and like he just keeps fighting. Like each chapter is him fighting and fighting and fighting, and that's basically what this book is. It's a fighting book, you
Yeah.
know. But
I mean,
I
it's
love it.
probably one of the fighting books,
Yeah,
like
like look at this, dude. Like with the energy coming off of his body, and this
yeah.
and the pop and the cracking sound. This right here on the bottom left reminded me exactly of like Bruce Lee.
Bro, you read my fucking mind. I was about to say it's like Bruce Lee, like when he's getting ready to fight and he's kind of like dancing around, you
Yeah,
know?
like
Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Like earlier when we were talking about like thinking about like film or whatever, like that to me, like I was picturing like all the different Bruce Lee movies where he's just like you said, he's dancing around, he's getting ready to just pop you, you know?
yeah. I love like the expressions that he gives, like Kenshiro. Like he's always got like this like sort of like stoic kind of look, especially in his eyes. Like it's crazy how expressive the eyes are. Like it like you said, he's a multi-layered character because like you look at his face, man, it's like he's a badass, but there's like a sadness and a softness to the expressions on his face sometimes
Oh yeah.
that like at least to me show you that like although he's someone that is committing these like horrible acts of violence on these people that admittedly deserve it, like he's sort of a soulful person, you know, like you see it on his face, like there's an element of tragedy to him, and
Oh
like
yeah, especially
I
in
mean,
this
we don't
panel
know
right
anything
here.
about him yet and why he's doing this quest, but right off the bat you can tell that there's more to him than just being a badass.
Oh dude, I love this group right here too.
Dude, the gangs in this shit are fucking amazing, you know, like
Yeah.
this guy with the crossbow on his fucking wrist is fantastic.
I love how he just spears straight through two people and right into the eye right here.
Dude, yeah. The choreography in this shit is amazing.
The blood splatter right here.
Dude, yeah. It's fucking amazing. Yeah, dude.
This is another one of
And,
my favorite pages. You don't
oh
deserve to live
yeah.
beyond today.
Dude, yeah, I mean that shit would make an amazing like print, you know? Like just
Yeah.
frame that shit. Yeah, like the energy coming off of him. I love how fucking ripped he is, you know, like I love his hair. I love the way
Same.
that
Yeah, yeah.
Hara draws his hair, man. It's like one of my favorite things about the character is like just like the way the hair moves and the way the hair looks at him. I mean, Kenshiro is a very striking character
Oh yeah, for
to
sure,
look
dude.
at.
It's another dope.
Yeah, the fucking you bastard, you know,
Yeah.
like I just love like the anatomy on him, man. How long his legs are. Like it's just again, dude. It's very 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 great character design in this whole book.
I love this too, where they throw the spiked ball chains around each of his wrists and they're pulling, and he's not even phased by it.
I mean, so far, dude, this guy hasn't broken a sweat, and he's been kicking ass. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Look at this one too. Look, axe cut off, heads exploding, and he's just still there, dude. He doesn't even need to. He doesn't even need to touch them.
I love that character with the mask. That's straight out of Mad Max, man. You know,
Yeah.
there's also like a very like punk rock like feel to this that I really like too. Like you know, with all the studded belts
Hmm.
and like you know, like I love like the post apocalyptic like stuff that came out in the late '70s and '80s, which is you know the time period for this for the release of Fist also, and like to me like this is probably one of the best like you know like comic representations of that kind of aesthetic, man.
Hmm. I also like how he calls out the moves he's doing,
Yes, dude.
like
Yes.
mountain sundering wave, and he hits this dude just with the fucking flat of his fist and creates a dent in his face.
Yeah, dude. You know, I think there's also an element of humor to this too. You know, like it's so over the top that like it's working on so many levels, man. Like it's just so good. Like it really is like one of the classic mangas. It's right up there with Akira and Dragon Ball and
Yeah,
you know and One Piece and like all these things that like have like these like worldwide fan bases. Like I really think Fist of the North Star deserves that kind of love and attention and like position in pop culture, you know?
for
I
sure.
think the
Yeah,
reason it really hasn't been is because of the fact that it wasn't
was
reprinted until now
yeah, and
and was so
that's the
hard.
thing that's
Yeah.
always the problem with certain stories that don't get talked about enough is when the publishers allow them to go out of print. Like I get not having like, a huge stock of books ready to ship, but like if you see that there's a need or a want for it, there's got to be a way to be like, okay, this book is wanted. I don't know, maybe they
Yeah.
should have people looking on eBay, like, or these like this, the other selling platforms where they're seeing that if it's selling that high, obviously there's a want and there's a need for that to be in print.
Yeah. I agree.
I love this too right here.
dude. Yeah, I mean the cityscapes are fucking amazing.
So this is where we meet the main antagonist right here of the book.
Yeah, who we learn has a connection to Ken, and obviously he still has he's got somewhat similar powers. You see him like like beat the fuck out of these guys and he's fucking naked, like
Right, and this is like telling too, like you don't know yet, but like look what he does with his
yeah,
fingers.
dude, that
Eventually,
that shit is gruesome and like you just imagine that like pushing
yeah,
your fingers into somebody,
yeah, it's crazy, dude. And obviously, these dudes are all terrified of this motherfucker.
Yeah, I love this gang too. Like the playing card theme, they all have tattoos on their head. Like
Yeah,
I like little details like that. Like that's a gang thing in this world, Like you tap your gang like symbol on your fucking head.
I love this. To the man with the 7 scars on his chest, the executions will continue as long as you keep running, King.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty gruesome. Like fucking
Yeah,
pinning a letter on a dead body. So right away, like what we're like in chapter 3, and like now the plot's really starting to open up, and
yeah.
you start to like sort of see what is Ken looking for, or perhaps is he running from something, like the story is really starting to open up, and one of the things I love about fight comics like this is that we just did do a power bomb, which I think also did this is an excellent way of using action as a narrative tool.
Oh yeah,
They're not just action scenes; like there's storytelling being told along with the fight that's pushing the narrative forward in a very, very, very clever way. Again, dude, you're right. Him cracking his knuckles, like I love those images of him cracks his knuckles constantly. Like it's
yeah,
the shading on this is so great.
yeah. I love I love how he sticks both fingers in this dude's ear, and then what
Yeah,
happens to him. Yeah, I think all the
yeah.
different gangs, like there's similarities, but there's also differences because I don't think they're all a part of the same. Like they are different.
No,
These
they're like
these are obviously,
nomadic roving. They're like tribal. Like they're
yeah.
almost like tribes of
Oh,
gangs.
here's that another one cracking the knuckles.
Yeah, man, it's a constant theme, dude. Yeah, that image is amazing.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because there's a lot of fighting, but I want to get to some of the story when he finally comes to King. I love this. So this is where we see like that there's a path, there's a history between these two. It's been a
Yes.
long time, Kenshiro. And I love that when he's like it says flex and then it starts ripping like the bandages and stuff that he has on his arms. This is
Yeah,
dope
yeah,
too.
dude. He's just fucking flexing,
It
like
literally says
literally.
glare.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I clawed my way back from the depths of hell to face you again. Like this is like where like it gets really dope too, is like you get more of the backstory, like I was saying, of their connection between him and King. I love this dude.
Dude, that guy that towers over him.
Yeah. You dare call me pig. Yep, that's definitely a pig. Go back to your pig pen.
See, like Ken's also like he goes out his quips every now and then. He's such a great character because like he's very funny sometimes. Like he says like a lot of little cool little one
And it's
liners.
said in like a nonchalant way too. Like
Yes, dude.
you feel
And
the
again,
when he's
it's
condescending too.
it's all the expression that Tetsuo Hara gives him. Like almost like a slightly detached. Like sometimes you're like, bro, this guy is not even really trying right now. He's kicking ass. Like
Yeah.
imagine if he's really trying. Like some of these guys, you could tell he's like not even worried about defeating. Like he knows that it's not going to be a problem.
I
But
love
here in
so
this
and
thing,
this dude can't, like, he can absorb, and then it's where he says like the only one that can defeat me is King's Nanto Seiken, which is the King's fighting style, which is different than
yes, then Ken's.
Hokuto Shinken, which is Ken's, right? Then you see this here, right? Like where they're the opposite. One is the North Star and one is the South Star, and King is the
Yeah,
South Star. So it's just completely different. Like it's the yin and yang to the fighting styles.
and it starts to explain. I love what it
Yeah.
explains here, like the dualism of the universe, man and woman, yin and yang, the guardian gods, Agio and Ungio. It's like there's a mythology being built here too, which is really cool.
Right.
And again, like they're not really using a lot of exposition. Like you're introduced to it slowly through like characters meeting and like through the fights. And then here we go where we know that it's about a woman.
Of course, dude.
Yeah,
It was his ex fiance,
yeah,
and he wants to
and
kill him in front of her.
and creepy that this guy built like a fucking like doll of the woman. Like
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You don't know that yet, but yes,
yeah,
you end up realizing that it's not really her, that it's a fucking
yeah,
doll. Just crazy, dude. Because you see like the way that she, like you can see, look, he's crying here, because she was
yeah.
taken from him. You don't know, but then when you find out, I love this too, like that, like when he fucking hits him there.
That that fucking kick and yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. And I like at this point the story really starts to rev up and you start to sort of like get more about Ken.
The way this fucking dude explodes, splatch, you know.
Yeah, dude. It's and we're only in chapter. This is only the first volume, and look how much has happened.
Right, right. And then this is where we find out like how this all went down
Yeah,
with Yuria in the past, right? Like they're together. This is a very different Ken than we've been seeing, right? Like
yeah.
he
Look at his face. He looks a little bit like he looks happier.
right. And King wants Yuria for himself. Like he's always been in love with her, and obviously they trained together, right? Ken and King.
Another
And
classic, like sort of like martial arts manga trope. Like the two like like not like blood brothers, but for lack of a better term, the two brothers who train together that end up being mortal enemies.
And I love this because this is where we see. So first of all, I love this them scoring off this. I love the way they split the panel. Like that's
I love those kind of panels. I love that they're still coloring in a lot of this sequence earlier. Oh, dude, that one page with them like doing the like the flying kicks, like that's so good. Like
yeah. Oh yeah, those are definitely really dope. But I love this too. Like this is like when King goes and like this is why he has the bandages on his arms, right?
yeah,
Cuts him on the at his elbows, his knees, drops him to the ground.
yeah. We haven't seen like Ken even break a sweat or like any. I mean, at this point, I don't think anyone's even landed a blow on him. And this is
He hasn't shed a drop of blood this entire
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And
No, nobody's been able to even touch him, and now this guy is like
and
very dangerous to him.
this is where he manipulates. He says, "Juria, say you love me," or basically, or
Yeah,
Ken's gonna die. And Ken keeps telling her, hey, don't do it, don't do it. And this is where you see him. This is the start of how he gets the mark.
the scars. And dude, look what a great sequence because you feel the pain,
Yeah,
of like, and it's like look, I love that one where he's pulling out the finger and it's like walk,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you that again, dude. You pointed it out at the beginning and you fucking nailed it. I hadn't realized how integral and important the sound effects are in this book. Like they really use sound effects lettering great in this. It's like one of the best examples I've ever seen.
This is powerful too, where she like to save him, she has to say like tell King that she loves him, right? And he's like, say it like
Yeah,
you mean it. And she
yeah, dude.
basically
It's
devotes herself to him, and then like that's the last he sees of her. So what I can only
yeah.
imagine is this entire. I mean, this is what I took from it is that this was the mission he was on was to try to find her again. Again, we
Again,
got some
him
knuckle
cracking his
cracking, dude.
yeah.
And he look, and then you can see this panel in particular. You see that King's like, oh, this isn't the same Ken that I was fighting all those years ago.
No, again, look at his face. Like it's just like the frown. Like he remains stoic throughout this whole fight. It's really amazing. I love that big page with the statue in the back.
Oh yeah, yeah. The level of detail on there is pretty dope. But I
Yeah,
love that like, look, he's not even face. So this is what now. This is the first time we're seeing him shed blood in the present,
yeah,
right? But he doesn't
yeah,
even like. He literally rubs his chest, licks it, and then spits it out. And then you see, I
yeah.
love this one right here, where his arms are moving super fast.
That again is like Bruce Lee, or like it also reminds me. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, The Last Dragon. It was a martial arts movie that came out in the '80s.
I gotta
It's
watch.
really good, man. It's look it up. You'll like it.
But look, his speed, dude. Like he can't even lay a blow on him.
No, no, and I love like the way he depicts like the dodging. It's like like with like those like staggered images like that. Like it's to me it's like he's just like easily dodging these blows with like no effort at all. You know, like this guy can't even land a blow on him right now. Like you said, it's a different Ken than King met last time.
And then look,
And
see,
that's,
this is where this is how you find out it's a doll, because King goes to kill Yuria, but you realize it's not, that she's not real, and he doesn't know
yeah,
that yet. So this is where his fucking shirt completely rips off.
yep,
I love this. Look at this bulge, because his muscle bulges.
yeah, yeah, dude.
And look, this is the sequence of the fight that I fucking really dug. He goes up to block the fingers from hitting him, and he allows them to go through his hand.
As a defensive move, and then he closes his own hand over King's hand. It's amazing,
Then he
dude. And
goes for
then
the
when he
punch.
fucking blows open with his hand, you know.
Yeah, I love that, dude. He like rips through it. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, the carnage in this is great. I love that. I mean, this fight is amazing.
Yeah,
There's some amazing stuff being done.
love this
Dude, I
one too.
love that page, that big splash page with like the multiple fists. Amazing page. I love the shading on those big like letters.
It's funny, like when I read manga, it just makes me wonder, like, why there's certain stuff that I don't know if it just doesn't sell in the American market, but you don't really see American comics doing this. Like, I know there was that book, No One Left to Fight, that at Dark Horse. There was two there,
Yeah,
and then the sequel by Aubrey Sitterson and man, I can't remember the artist's name, but
I've never read that, man.
yeah, but that's like, kind of riffing on like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. But you don't really see like fight comics. Like manga is not willing, but manga does way more different genres or subgenres rather. Like there's like a book about fucking ping pong. You know?
And dude, I love ping pong. That's a great book.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I'm definitely like, that's on my list of stuff I want to check out. But like
Yeah,
like it's crazy. Like there's just so much variety in manga that American market, you just wouldn't even see that book kind of made unless somebody self-publishes it. But it's definitely not going
yeah,
to be produced by like one of the major publishers. Oh, I love this too. When a Great Star Falls. I love this
yeah.
page.
The titles of the chapters are really good too. Like very evocative. Like almost there's like a poetry to them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
for a comic that's so violent and relies strictly on just like fighting. Like there's a poetry to Fist of the North Star, man.
Yeah. And this is where you find out she's the dummy, and then you find
Yeah,
out how she died, which is pretty crazy. I didn't see that coming either. That's another thing about the book. None of it's predictable in terms of what you're going to
no,
get and what you're going to see. And this goes back. This is after King has already stolen Yuria from Ken, and
yeah,
he's trying to like still trying to give her everything, and she's just like, she doesn't care. That's not what she wants.
yeah. He tried everything, like becoming a powerful warlord, taking over a city, and like
Yeah,
like no amount of like displays of power were enough to make her love King.
yeah. And look, she doesn't know what else to do. Like,
Yeah,
and what is her choice? She fucking commits suicide.
yeah, and then that's where I mentioned earlier like the element of tragedy that you could feel at the very beginning on like now you're starting to see like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like look at that. Look at that. The view of King, where you just see her body so tiny laying on the fucking ground.
yeah, it's great perspective. Tetsuo Hara is amazing, man.
Oh, dude, fantastic. Look, and he only wanted one thing, and he couldn't get it. So all that power, all that money, everything he had didn't give him what he really wanted. And then so what does he do? He's not going to die by Ken's hands, so he jumps down from the same spot. And I love this
And
too.
kills
Like you
him.
talk about poetic, like look at that. Even then, even though this dude has like caused him so much harm, he buries her or buries him right next to her because we both love
Yeah,
the same woman.
like he might hate King, but he understands the love he had for Yuria, like because he
Yeah,
had it too. It may it make it it's another detail that makes Ken like much more complex and just like a badass kicking ass, like
right.
there's a deepness to him, I mean, I keep going back to the word poetic, but first, like I said, this is like it's almost like you could call Fist of the North Star like a violent visual poem.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like that would have been the proper point to break this book one off, in my opinion. I think that would have been a good ending point, because I feel like the next 2 chapters, or maybe there's 3 chapters. Like now you're seeing this, like he's in a new town, right? And this is where he gets reunited with Rin, and you have this
these like very Nazi looking dudes, you know?
yeah, because it definitely ends on like in the middle, is like kind of what I felt. But I don't know. I like this too, but like it definitely like it warrants like definitely
after such a powerful moment and powerful like chapter and powerful ending.
Yeah.
It doesn't strike as hard, but it's still good.
No, yeah, it's definitely good because like look, he sees Ren's trapped by these guys, and all the women of this town are have been captured, so all the men come to save them, and they're all murdered in front. Like these sounds too, the like them shooting these darts and the like right in their heads, and they have no idea what's in store for them when fucking Kenshiro comes. Like I love how he just like towers over them, and
he rips through these guys. Yeah, he makes that one guy cut his own head off.
Yeah.
With the wire, like.
And I love nunchucks, so I'm always a fan.
You said something here that with my strikes, I've taken complete control of your body. You want to know how? This is one of the secrets of Hokuto Shinken. And the guy just like uses his own like arrow wire to chop off his own head.
But yeah, I mean, look, this is just a fantastic volume. Like I said, it kind of it ends with like this new adversary, this like general type character that that we're gonna see. But I mean, dude, there's such a great book. Another powerful image right here.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a great like image of Ken. Like
the character designs in here are phenomenal. The action's great. The fighting, everything about this book, dude. Like this is just such a good story, and the characters are awesome.
It's one of the classic works of comics, I think. Like you talk about Akira, Watchmen, like like all these books that like are always going to be like evergreen and like should sit on the shelf of every comic book lover lover collection. And I mean, this to me it transcends just being a manga. It's just an amazing piece of comic book literature.
If you haven't,
and the influence it's had, bro, you could just see the influence in so many things.
I mean, even like Liefeld, right? And a lot of the like Eric Larson too, like they were, I mean, I can only imagine other manga titles too.
Right? Well, they I mean, you see it mentioned by a lot of those guys, because Fist of the North Star started making its way, to the U.S. Right around the time those guys were starting to come up and starting to get into comics. So like, I'm pretty sure that like Fist of the North Star had to be an influence on like all like the Image guys and like all the people doing like outlaw comics, because I mean it's there, man. You can put it side by side with things like The Crow, and I mean I see an influence on something like The Crow, like the lone badass getting revenge. Like I mean, yeah, that's a classic trope of literature in general, but like the way that this story is told, I think has reverberated through so many different comic books.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, if you guys haven't, anybody listening, watching, if you haven't picked this up yet, it's available now. If you've been,
I think they're on like,
that it was, definitely go pick
volume 8 or something like that. There's plenty of volumes out there now for you to get started. Yeah, and they're usually available at like all major bookstores. I see it everywhere.
Right. And I'm definitely excited to go through more manga. Maybe we'll even go through another Fist of the North Star eventually. But dude, this is a blast talking about it with you. And
apologies for my dog going crazy in the back.
That's all good. Your dog's, giving a review on Fist of the North Star.
She's excited for it,
yeah. So for everybody listening and watching, make sure you follow us on all our social media. Manny's links down below, Comic Lounge links down below as well. Hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time a new video goes up. And on that note, we're out.